This butterfly pop-up's really nice and simple and is fairly quick and easy to make. First of all, you'll need to print out your base sheet. As you can see here, I've got the guidelines. These are a little bit darker so they show up on the camera. And what I've done is simply print that out onto a sheet first and then put my colour background in. Now this is the one that comes on the CD, but you can use any one of your choice. Hence the reason for having these printable backgrounds. And on the front, I've simply run through and printed out the front of the card as well on that piece of there. So this is all one piece. This is 180 GSM, but you can of course add extra bits to it, as it were, print the cover separately. And coming on to the mechanism, we can see here there's a choice of two different coloured butterflies. I'm going to work with this one. So it's simply a case now of cutting out these two butterflies to begin with. This chap here will act as a decoupage if you want it on the front, but you can also print out and use these two and use the side lifts if you want to add extra butterflies to your pop-up. So the next thing to do now is to go on and concentrate on the main pop-up. So I'll cut out these two and then we'll come back and have a look at how we apply that to the base. I've cut out my two parts to the main butterfly here, and now we just need to do a couple of simple tasks with these. The first is to score along the top of the pink line here, which is our score line, as well as guide for sticking down. And I'm just going to score that and fold it back there. And you'll also notice we've got a red line here as well. Now I would just use the craft knife here. We could probably use your scissors as well if you want to. But because these two slot together, it's quite nice to take a little bit more out of here than just a single cut, if that makes sense. So I'm going to cut this red box out, a slither as I call it, and that, as we can see, if I just bring this in underneath, just gives us a little bit more space. This allows the mechanism to move a little bit more freely, so I would suggest that you do that. And you need to go on now and do the same for the other half. And incidentally, just while we've got this here, just to say, for the cutting out here, I've just left a little bit of white paper around the more delicate part at the top here, and that looks fine. It's certainly okay aesthetically, and that gives it a little bit more strength as well. Okay, so I'll repeat this to the other half, and then we'll look at how we apply that to the base. I've now cut out both parts of the butterfly. As we can see, they have what I call a foot here, and it's clearly marked which one will go where, and these two are going to literally slot together and then glue and fold on. So the first thing to do now is just to glue them into position, and you can see that, as I said, the footprint here matches the square there. There's a larger one and a smaller one. Now it's worth noting that with the crease lines, it's worth folding it in both directions just to allow this lift mechanism to move freely. And then this foot itself is just going to sit like so as well. So we need to glue the underside there. I would pop a little bit of card underneath just to stop that going everywhere. And now I'm just going to use my wet glue here, and a nice even application on there, and then fold this over, and that will now simply glue into position there. Now the second one that slots into the first, so we've got two ways of really tackling this. You can glue them and then try and slot them, but I think that's sometimes a little bit tricky. So what I'll do now is, you can see that the smaller one here, that's going to simply slot in to the other part of the butterfly there, and the body comes together a bit like that. Then that foot needs to go down and sit onto its footprint there as well. So what I'll do is just glue this part here and put that on. Whoops, now you'll notice, and now as I put this down, you'll notice that it lifts the butterfly up, and I'll tell you what, you can see I'm actually put a bit of glue on the wrong side then, but I'll put that down there, and we can see now that the butterfly lifts. Okay, with the second part stuck down, you notice that physically lifts the butterfly up, as we've seen here, And now as we open and close, the butterfly will then rise. As we close our piece of paper, we can see the butterfly goes to the edge, and then we open up, and it's as simple as that. We get this lovely butterfly just springing up, as you can see there. Very, very simple mechanism. I said make sure that there's plenty of gap between the two folds where they interlock. If it's too tight, it jams the mechanism. But if I can just show you here from the side of the camera, we can see, as I said, a very simple and beautiful lifting mechanism there. And you can, of course, go on if you want to and add one of the straps to this and simply glue that on, and you could lift another butterfly if you want to. To make the additional lift mechanism, I've simply used the piece that's on the net or the plan for you there and scored that, and we're going to glue this to the base to the side here. So a little bit of glue on there, and that can really go, it's wherever you want to position it. I'm just going to pop it there, and as you can see, what we're really doing is just taking our power, as it were, from this lift mechanism. If I fold the wing back, you'll see a little bit more clearly. Just let that stick onto there and to that height, and then we need to just pull this back, and as you close it, it'll find its sort of natural way where to glue. So I'm going to hold that down, and the second part of the gluing mechanism, as it were, or the lifting mechanism, will sit under there. You can find that once this is fully open, that's sitting as so you can just take an approximation, and the nice thing with the wet glue is it moves a wee bit if it's not right. But if I just put that there, I know that this is fully open when the mechanisms or the butterfly's open. We can see that strap there, and as I fold it down, if I can show you here, just lift to the side, we fold it down, and that will just flatten there like so. It takes a little bit of time for this glue to dry, so if I just pop that onto there, and then really the essence of this, and I'm going to just put a little bit of glue onto the wing of the butterfly here, and you can see what we're going to do is just stick another butterfly on, as it were. So that just lifts it. It will sit slightly to one side. It's not going to hold it perfectly. Let me just hold it to the side. Can you see? We're just simply resting it on there, and that gives us a little bit of extra lift and room for when it opens and closes. We can just use that second lift mechanism there just to put another little butterfly on if you want to do so. And here we can see, as we open up, we get this lovely pop-up of the butterfly, and the additional one if you want to add the extra tabs as well. Very quick, simple card, but lots of wow factor as you open it up. And of course you can write your own greetings message wherever you want to on here, or even if you wanted to print onto a separate piece of paper. Although these are pink on here, they'll still look nice, I think, whatever you print on. And there we go, a very simple card, nice and quick to make, but looks spectacular when it's opened. Hope you enjoy making this one.